The Blue Bloods are out.
The new blood has arrived.
Georgia Tech is scrappy and hungry.
That's his mentality. Winning was more important to him than breathing.
The Seminoles are just hell-bent.
We were not invited to the party. I think we crashed it.
Neither cares how they got here.
Both are simply here to seize the trophy.
It's everything on the line for us right now.
Georgia Tech
versus Florida State.
We have got a game on our hands tonight. Welcome into Countdown to the ACC Championship presented by SoFi. We are counting you down to Georgia Tech versus Florida State in the ACC Championship. I'm Christine Williamson, and we got Kelsey Riggs in the building. Excited to have you here, mostly because you're my friend, but also because you're an ACC insider.
I was going to say, usually I'm like bothering you every week to hang out with me and be my friend and talk to me. And today we're getting paid to do it, and I get to talk about the ACC, which is my favorite thing to talk about.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The matchup tonight between Georgia Tech and Florida State. It's the first ACC championship without Duke or North Carolina since 1996 when Tim Duncan's Wake Forest team beat Georgia Tech. So it's going to be a big one. Let's take
the new bloods.
The new bloods. I feel like, am I a new blood or a blue blood in this scenario? Would we both be new bloods?
I feel like I'm the new blood. You're here all the time, right?
Blue blood? But I don't want to be a blue blood. Blue bloods aren't doing that well this season. But let's take a look at the ACC brackets. Both teams have had games canceled. Florida State's quarterfinal matchup with Duke was uncontested when the Blue Devils had to leave the tournament due to COVID, and UVA had the same situation. They had to leave due to COVID, and the semi with Georgia Tech was also canceled. We now welcome in Jay Bilas, who will be calling tonight's game between FSU and Georgia Tech. That game at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN. And Jay, I want to ask you about this matchup specifically. Both of these teams got to the final matchup a lot differently. So what's on the line when it comes to this game?
Well, I mean, the ACC Championship, first and foremost. Obviously, both teams can improve their seeding in the NCAA Tournament. That's important. I mean, Georgia Tech has been slotted around an 8 or a 9, I think, or in the 10 spot. I think you'd rather be in 10 than 8 or 9, simply because you avoid the 1 a little bit longer. But I'm not sure that players ever think about that kind of thing, especially when they're going into a game, and especially when you're playing for something lasting like an ACC Tournament championship. You know, this is the kind of the granddaddy of them all, really. The ACC Tournament started all these postseason tournaments. You know, nobody else had tournaments like this. So this was the gold standard and has been ever since postseason play started. And especially for Georgia Tech and Florida State, that over the years in a conference that's been dominated essentially by Duke and North Carolina and the North Carolina schools, the Big Four, for them to be playing each other for an ACC championship is really significant and hadn't happened in a long time. I think it's 96 the last time Duke or Carolina wasn't in the final. And then Georgia Tech in 1990 was in the championship game as well. And you'd have to go back, I think, to 1985. They won it when I was in college with Mark Price, Bruce Dalrymple, John Sally, that whole crew. So it's really, I think, really meaningful for both teams.
It's certainly going to be a good game, Jay. The other thing that's been happening throughout the week with these conference tournaments, unfortunately, is we've seen games that had to be canceled. There in the ACC, we saw Virginia have to pull out as well as Duke. And then in the Big 12, it happened to Kansas. We'll talk about Duke in a second. But when you look at Virginia and Kansas right now, what happens to them next? And could we still see them in the NCAA tournament?
I think we'll see both Virginia and Kansas in the NCAA tournament. And honestly, I know that this is unsettling because of the time of year and because we're so close to the finish line. But you don't want to start acting like we're, not you guys, but like we're acting like we're going on a tightrope here. We've seen virus issues throughout the season, and we had postponements and cancellations. It seems a little more final now when it happens, but you know, the overwhelming majority of games are being played. The overwhelming majority of teams are having no problems. So you know, sort of the heightened sensitivity to this, I'm not sure where it's coming from, other than we're closer to the finish line and we're 1 year away from everything being shut down, and we're getting that, you know, it gives you a little bit of a deja vu feeling. But I know that Virginia started quarantining the day that they left here, and it's their local health officials that guided them through that. So they were essentially quarantining while they were on the bus driving back to Charlottesville. So I think they'll be ready to go. I think Kansas will be ready to go, and then Syracuse and Louisville, who played both those teams, not just they didn't play Kansas, but Syracuse and Louisville played both Duke and Virginia. They'll be fine, and I think everybody will be ready to go.
So we mentioned it. Duke obviously withdrew from the tournament because of COVID-19. And their AD, Kevin White, said that they would not finish the season. They're done with the season, but then they've now said that they might play in the tournament if they get an at-large bid. That situation kind of all over the place. This season, honestly, kind of all over the place. Your alma mater. So I want to ask you, what is the outlook when it comes to this Duke basketball team in this season and going forward?
I'd be surprised if Duke got an at-large bid based upon its record this year. If they had played and beaten Florida State, I thought they would be right there to get one, but they didn't get to play the game. And so there's nothing anybody can do about that. I think what could happen is if there is a team or teams that have to drop out of the field, you know, the teams have to notify the NCAA selection committee by tonight, I think at 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're moving our clocks ahead and all that stuff, so got to get all the times right. But if teams drop out, they could slide in there. So that's possible. I mean, I wouldn't wish that upon another team that had qualified for the tournament, but I think there are going to be a number of teams. It could be, you know, up to 8 that are being notified by the selection committee that, hey, you know, hang on, yeah, we may ask you. So Duke could be one of those teams. Who knows? Maybe they'll make it into the field without that. But I'm doubtful that that'll happen.
First of all, thanks for the reminder about changing the clocks, because I definitely had forgotten that was tonight.
Isn't that awful?
Yes,
we lose an hour of sleep at this time of year. That's just brutal.
Not ever ready for it.
We are not an agrarian society anymore. We need to fix this.
We'll deal with it. We'll get through it. We'll make it to tomorrow. Jay, taking a bigger look at the ACC now. And, you know, it seems like when Duke and North Carolina aren't having the years that maybe we expect, that everybody says it's a down year for the ACC. But as you just mentioned, they could get as many as 8 teams into the tournament this year. What's the state of the ACC going forward? And could there be potentially a team within the ACC year that could make a national championship run?
Well, I think there are teams in the conference. Florida State and Virginia, I think, are the best teams because they've been the most consistent. I think Florida State's the most talented and most powerful team. That doesn't mean Virginia can't make a significant run in the tournament and wind up getting to the last 4 in the tournament. I don't see a national championship caliber team in the ACC this year. I do believe it's a down year in the league. And I don't judge it, and reasonable minds can differ on this, but I don't judge it by how many teams get in, because that's judging it by the rest of the field. This has not been the best year for the ACC, and it's not just because of Duke and North Carolina. I think you could go down the list of teams, and if you ask the question, is this team better than it was last year? I think the answer for the overwhelming majority of teams in the league would be no. They were better last year. And that means, to me, a down year. Now, it doesn't matter because nobody looks in a record book and says, well, down year for the league that year. They look at how you did. But we've had a number of teams that did not perform on their schedule, as against their schedule. And we've had a number of teams that underperformed against other leagues. And that's really the measure of an up or a down year. Usually we're not even talking about this and asking the question. It's just how much better is the ACC than other leagues in most of the years we've had. And that's not the question we're asking this year.
So I want to ask you about the J. Bilas Index. It's your own method for selecting at-large teams. It gives more strength to the regular season, so teams from small conferences that don't do well in their conference tournament get a better shot at the tournament. So what teams do you think wish that the J. Bilas Index was a real thing?
All of them. I think everybody wishes that was the law of the land.
I knew that was
because the first thing I would do, when I'm king, not if I'm king, when I'm king, the first thing I'm going to do is eliminate standard time, and we're going back to daylight savings time.
Yes,
we are not an agrarian economy anymore. We're not a farming community. We've got farmers and we love them, but we're not all farmers. We don't have to do this anymore. And then the next thing, the Bilas Index and the Bilas Plan would be law. And the Supreme Court justices would all stand when I walked in the room and thank me for that law, because it's perfect.
I mean, I love a world where Jay Bilas is king. I know, right? How do we vote him in? Thanks so much, Jay. We'll be voting for you soon, I guess.
You don't vote for king. It's just an edict.
You're appointed.
The lady of the lake, shroud in the finest samite, holds aloft Excalibur, and signifying that I, Jay Bilas, am king.
I'm here for it. We're in. Thanks so much, Jay. We are counting you down to the ACC Championship on ESPN at the bottom of the hour between Georgia Tech and Florida State. Florida State seeking its second ever ACC Tournament championship. With their lone win coming back in 2012, Tech has won 3 conference titles. The last one was in 1993. We're looking at some players warming up. This MJ Walker of Florida State. Kels, you're an insider. What do you expect? Who do you expect to have a big game tonight?
Well, it's definitely MJ Walker. He's been big for Florida State all year, has been one of their leading scorers. But this Florida State team, they just have so much depth. On the other hand, Georgia Tech, you're looking at Moses right now. He's the ACC Player of the Year. Christine, he's only been playing organized basketball for about 6 years. He has such a cool story. He loves anime. He was into music as a kid, can play a couple of different instruments. And then he comes out here, plays for Georgia Tech, and is the ACC Player of the Year. Just an incredible work ethic from Moses Wright and Georgia Tech. They're such a fun program to watch and really enjoyed the celebrations behind all them. Then you've got a guy like Scotty Barnes. He's the Freshman of the Year, also the ACC Sixth Man of the Year. Certainly going to come on and put on a show. I'm sure we've seen some really incredible highlight-worthy moments from him all year long, and I expect nothing less from that in the ACC Championship game as well. So those teams, Christine, are both, according to Joe Lunardi, safely right now in the bracket. And there are some other teams, although Champ Week isn't over, who have already punched their tickets as well. 16 teams have punched their ticket right now to get into the tournament. Let's take a look at how some of those happen. American East, it's Hartford and UMass Lowell. Austin Williams on the outlet pass to seal the deal. Hartford punches its first ticket to the NCAA Tournament in school history. You see the smiles there. Can't imagine what that feels like to have your team dancing for the first time. In the MEAC, Norfolk State and Morgan State. Kashawn Hicks runs the court, snags the inbound pass, the exclamation point there. Norfolk State wins it 71-63, making their second ever NCAA tournament appearance. The celebration is always my favorite part.
I know, they look so excited. The confetti.
And especially this year, you just know it means so much to these players after all they've sacrificed. How about in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference? Oof. Iona and Fairfield. That's Isaiah Ross breaking ankles.
Just breaking ankles. That's
embarrassing. Why do you have to do that?
Embarrassing.
Rick Pitino, first coach to win the automatic bid from 6 different conferences. And as I mentioned, 16 teams have punched their tickets to the tournament. San Diego State, they're now the Mountain West champs, and Texas Southern, they just upset Prairie View in the SWAC. So certainly a few things to keep an eye on there as we continue to go through Champ Week, the Big 12. In action right now. We'll get to that in just a second. But right now, let's welcome in one of my friends, ACC Network analyst, Louisville's most outstanding player. Luke Hancock joins us now. Luke, I don't know how you got stuck with me here after you have to hang out with me at ACC Network all the time. But here we are. You did. We just talked about a lot of the teams who have already punched their tickets, Luke. What team benefited the most, in your opinion, from Champ Week?
Well, you just named a bunch. This is the best time of the year, and I'm always happy to hang out with you guys. Come on now. But I'm going to go with Iona to start. This team has had to battle a crazy amount of adversity this year. Rick Pitino, as you mentioned, one of the best coaches in the country, but brings this team from all that adversity, 60 days off and 4 pauses. Iona finds a way to get in the tournament with a couple upsets here. I love Isaiah Ross, and I love Big Nelly Junior Joseph. These guys can play. They love Rick Pitino's up-tempo style. They've had to battle through a ton this season and found a way to get it done, upsetting the #1 team in that conference and then getting it done today. Again, Isaiah Ross can score it in bunches. Dude's tons of fun to watch. Next, I'll go with Memphis. Memphis has won 7 out of 8. Their one loss coming to Houston, who is a great basketball team. If they're not on your radar by now, you are not watching enough college basketball. But Memphis, trying to avenge that loss, is one of the hottest teams in the country. They are all about defense when you think about their identity. But what they've really done down this stretch is start to play some unselfish basketball and pick it up on the offensive end. The more they share it, the better Memphis does. They've been fantastic. And then I'm going to go with Ohio State. Ohio State lost their 4 straight regular season games coming into the tournament. They are on an incredible run. They've got players that are absolute mismatches all around. C.J. Walker, the transfer, has been a huge spark off the bench, but it is all about first-team all-conference performer E.J. Liddell and then Dwayne Washington Jr. as smooth as it gets. I love this combination. They're deep, they're versatile, they're athletic, and the most important part, they are in fuego right now. You got to be playing your best basketball, and Ohio State is certainly doing that.
Fitz likes to make fun of me because I'm always talking about the Big 12 conference. I love the Big 12, and basketball in the Big 12 has been really, really good. Oklahoma State and Texas going at it right now in the Big 12 Championship. And Oklahoma State has been a story throughout the whole entire season, mostly because of the freshman phenom, Cade Cunningham. He is an absolute bucket, averaging 21.9 points per game against ranked opponents. That is the 3rd most in Division I. Obviously, right now, Oklahoma State is down in the championship. However, they still are hoping to go to the NCAA Tournament and make some waves. What do you expect with the Cowboys?
Well, I expect a run just because you look at where they were slotted in mid-February with their tournament seed, and they have done nothing but get better and better, all the way down to a projected 2 seed. Whether they win or lose this game, I think they're still going to be right there. And you mentioned Cade Cunningham is the real deal. As surefire NBA player, first pick in the draft as I have seen in a long time. He's long, he's athletic, he shoots it incredibly well, and when it's time to take over games, this dude has the absolute it factor. I think it's rare to see guys at his size have that kind of touch, and when you can elevate over smaller defenders, it's like they're not even there. He just raises up with that silky Jesus Shuttlesworth type jumper, and it's nothing but net.
Silky.
Fun to watch. 23 points right now as they are trailing Texas 83-77 with just under a minute left. So certainly want to keep an eye on what's happening in the Big 12. Luke, let's talk a little bit about some of the other teams. We love to talk about the best teams in college basketball, the top seeds, but who are some teams maybe under the radar right now that you think could really surprise some people in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I got a couple for you here. I think Memphis could be one of those teams. I mean, their record won't have you just looking and eyeballs coming out of your head looking at their stats, but they're all about defense first, and I don't think anybody's really paid attention to Penny Hardaway's team just yet. If they can continue to pick it up on the offensive end, they are going to be a scary team come tournament time. But the team I really want to focus on from the ACC, the conference we cover probably the most, Kelsey, I'm going to go with Georgia Tech.
There you go.
Georgia Tech has the pieces to the puzzle. You know what I look for in backcourts when you think about tournaments? Veterans, guys with the battle scars that have been there and done that. They have Jose Alvarado, who is the defensive player of the year. He is great at locking in on the other team's best player and just being a pest, frustrating the heck out of him. He was great all year long. And then they got Big Moses Wright. I compare him to my old teammate Montrezl Harrell, who is killing it for the LA Lakers. He's relentless. He's gotten better every year. These guys, not only are they veterans, they're incredibly motivated to make a run. Georgia Tech has not been in the championship game in a very long time. These guys are trying to make their mark on Georgia Tech basketball. I love the versatility of Moses Wright. I love the defense and the leadership from Jose Alvarado. Shooters all around. This team can really play. Watch out for Georgia Tech.
So after the ACC Championship game, we still have 3 more major conference championships going on, starting with the Pac12 tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Oregon State and Colorado. What are you expecting in this matchup?
I think it's going to be a great game. I'm not necessarily a Beaver believer when it comes to Oregon State just yet, but the run they're on, I told you guys the most important thing about basketball right now is that you're playing well and you're playing with confidence. Ethan Thompson for them has been electric in this tournament, knocking off the #1 seed Oregon with 5 threes. This team believes, and they're playing their best basketball right now, but Colorado is the real deal. I really like Tad Boyle's team led by McKinley Wright. Again, you got to get old and stay old in some of these conferences without the surefire Cade Cunningham lottery picks, and McKinley Wright is that guy for Colorado. They play defense, but he can score it in bunches. I think Colorado is going to be a really dangerous team in the NCAA tournament.
All right, let's go to the SEC. The SEC has been surprisingly good this season. 1 p.m. tomorrow Eastern on ESPN. What do you expect in that matchup?
Well, this is offense versus defense. LSU wants to get out and run. They want to force you to play at their pace. They've got tons of great scorers. I think Will Wade's done a great job piecing these guys together. And I was really unsure about their defense, but their offense is so good that they're finding ways to get it done. Love Cam Thomas, love Jamonte Smart in that backcourt. Those guys, they can get out and run. On the other side, you got some veterans that are tough as nails, especially on the defensive end for Alabama. Herb Jones, he has the mentality I would want. If I'm a coach, I want my guys to play like Herb Jones. He leads my list of guys that play much bigger than they are. Him with Javon Quinterly is a great electric scorer. And then John Petty, he's another DNA guy. He embodies what this team is all about. Again, defense first. This is going to be electric for the SEC Championship. And move over, Coach Calipari. There are a bunch of up-and-coming great coaches in the SEC.
The Big Ten, arguably the best basketball conference this season. They have their championship tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Ohio State versus the Fighting Illini. What are you expecting out of that matchup?
Well, we talked about hot teams. Ohio State is hot. E.J. Liddell, first-team all-conference performer. He is an absolute stud. They're good on the defensive end. They're so versatile on the offensive end. I think Ohio State is playing their best basketball right now. But the masked Mamba, you see him right there. Ayo is a different animal out there on the court. This guy is so motivated. He is wearing this mask almost 24/7 just to get used to it. Says it doesn't faze him anymore. He feels like a superhero out there. And then you got the beasts in the middle. Kofi Cockburn was electric today. He's like a wall. You can't move the guy backing him down. He's smart. He's got great hands. They bring Georgie in the game. They bring shooters off the bench. Illinois is a complete team. These two both of them can certainly make the Final Four in the NCAA tournament.
Well, we love to see it. Now that we got the hard-hitting analysts out of the way, let's get into some fun stuff.
Let's do it.
How about we look at some fun things going on around
Yeah,
basketball?
Luke likes to have fun. Let's start with Utah State's Marco Anthony wearing the number 44. But why is he wearing the number 44? Obviously, it's for a good reason, because he was asked about it. His reply is because of Wendy's 4 for 4. And that is now this new favorite college basketball player of everyone, I think, because if that's your favorite number because of Wendy's 4 for 4, Luke, I mean, I'm on board. I like Chick-fil-A, but I can't get behind that.
I just love the name. If you're going to go out there and choose your number because of the combos of food you get, I'm all in for that. This dude is, what a beast. That's perfect.
And a little update that we have for you. San Diego State, they beat Utah State in the final of the Mountain West Conference. So that is their 6th Mountain West Conference tournament title. Super hot team, 14 straight wins, the 3rd longest active streak, Christine, in all of Division I.
You love to see it. All right, let's talk about this Texas Southern buzzer beater.
I love
Michael
the buzzer
Weathers
beaters.
of Texas Southern hits this buzzer beater. Oh my goodness.
Woo!
Right on time, beating the 3 to force overtime versus Jackson State. Texas Southern would win in overtime, so he did it for good reason and advanced to the SWAC finals. They actually won the SWAC finals, 80-61. So it was a great game, obviously, and he got the bucket.
Silky smooth, just like Luke would be if he was out there shooting the buzzer beater.
I
believe in it, the most outstanding player. You know, Luke can do a little bit of everything. Luke, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging with us.
You guys are the best. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we get to do it again soon. And again, it's the best time of the year, baby.
Yes, of course, always March is the best. All right, we are moments away from the ACC Championship between Georgia Tech versus Florida State. That's coming up on ESPN and the ESPN app at 8:30. If you're watching on the ESPN app, you can go on and authenticate right here and watch the game on the app as soon as we're done.
And this is one you're not going to want to miss. I mean, Florida State is a team that every year Leonard Hamilton just seems to reload and have this team in a great position every single year. Luke just talked about Jose Alvarado, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, what he does on the court is really good. He's so fun to watch, too, Christine. The celebrations that he comes up with, the personality. I feel like you see so much personality throughout this Georgia Tech team the entire time. Time to talk now about our tournament Challenge because it is almost that time of the year to fill out your
my
tournament
gosh.
brackets.
These are the most
Christine.
nerve-wracking things ever.
What better way to prepare than watching ESPN's Tournament Challenge Marathon? Starting this Sunday through Friday, March 19th, you can get ready for the tournament by watching special branded program across all of ESPN's networks and platforms. And of course, when you're ready to fill out your brackets, do it at ESPN Tournament Challenge, the #1 bracket game, and it's free. You can play both the men's and women's tournament and the 2021 version of the Tournament Challenge. App is on both iOS and Android.
I love it. And guess what? The friends are going to keep rolling in. We got Riggs, we got Luke, and now we welcome in Dalen Cuff, who, by the way, has been literally working all day.
Around the clock,
from tournament
all week.
to tournament. And I love that you're joining us. You're so dapper. We love to see it. You just spent 8 hours on television. What's your biggest takeaway from the day so far?
Wait, I have to just co-opt things real quick. What is a Wendy's 4 for $4? Tyler Knowles wears 44. What is a 4 for $4?
Tyler doesn't know because Dalen loves to eat salmon and salad, and that is not part of the Wendy's 4 for $4.
You've never heard of a faux faux? You've never heard of a faux faux?
No. What is in it? Do I get a sandwich, some nuggets,
you get
a Frosty?
You get to pick. It's anything.
Just any of the 4 items?
$4.
You've worked so hard. You deserve this tonight, Dalen. After the show tonight, after our post-game show, Wendy's 4 for $4 is in your fridge.
If I took down a 4 for $4, I'd be feeling it for the next 4 days. So we're not gonna do it. All right.
We need you.
But I love Wendy's. Wendy's Wooden Award. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Okay. So that's your biggest takeaway from today.
Yeah, that is my biggest takeaway. But no, in all sincerity, the Texas game just wrapped up, and I think talking about Cade Cunningham and crew, Oklahoma State was on a roll, and a team that ran into a team that defensively. Texas was really stout in that game, but offensively was really impressive. And I think it's just a reminder that you have to combine for 40 minutes. 40 minutes have to be played. You cannot play for 30 minutes. You cannot play for 35 to win championships. You got to log 40 minutes every time you step on the court. This Oklahoma State team battled hard to come back. Cade was trying to lead him back. He had foul trouble in the beginning of the game. That team has become way more than him. But defensively, they did not show up in the first half of the game. Texas also got, kind of grandfathered in. They didn't have to play Kansas because of the COVID issue. So they had a night off when Oklahoma State had to battle and beat Baylor. And Texas was able to play with a lot of energy, a lot of intensity, made shots early and held on to that lead late. Impressive for the Longhorns. The Big 12 does have 4, maybe 5 teams that can play in the Final Four, which is pretty wild.
I would also like to say that I think it was the first Texas team to win the Big 12 championship ever, which is so surprising because Texas, TCU, Baylor, there's so many Texas teams, Texas Tech, there's so many Texas teams in the Big 12, so it's wild.
Dalen, you've done a great job talking about this all day. I enjoyed watching all the games on my couch all day, and I'm excited here for another game that we've got coming up. It's time now, though, for our SoFi Better Together moment, and we're going back to the ACC quarterfinals Thursday. Virginia and bubble team Syracuse went down to the wire.
Virginia with a chance for the last shot to win it. Kihei Clark. Beekman for the win. Got it! Reese Beekman, the freshman.
An incredible moment there, Dalen. There were quite a few buzzer beaters, actually 2.
That was his first made shot that day. He didn't make it. She was 0 for 5.
Yes.
He's got 8 threes made on the year. And talk about stepping up when you had to. That was pretty massive.
Syracuse right now in the field, according to Joe Lunardi, who Christine has them among the last 4 buys.
Well, let's go on to the match preview. This is a match you guys are really good at talking about, the ACC. Georgia Tech has won 7 games in a row, but only one of them against a ranked team. What do they need to do to win the matchup tonight?
It's a couple things they have to do well. They have to make threes, and they have to take away threes from Florida State. It's an important part. Florida State shoots the best percentage in the league, just over 40% from the three-point line. These two teams have played twice this year. When they won, they were able to take those threes away. When they won, they were able to make threes as well. That was really important. And they have to create offense off of their defense. They do a great job of this. They're 4th in the country with 18 points per game off of turnovers. They're 1st in turnover rate in the ACC, turning teams over around 22% of their possessions. And Florida State can be real susceptible to it at times. They can just make some bad passes, make some bad decisions. We saw that in North Carolina game last night. We've seen it in the Carolina game before. We saw it when we played Georgia Tech last time. They have to do that, score off their defense, knock down threes are key parts. And this team doesn't go deep in their bench, guys. They just a couple, 7 team deep, seven players deep, really. You cannot get in foul trouble. Josh Pastner will play guys with 2 fouls early on. You can't pick up 3. Why I bring that up is Florida State's length, athleticism, their ability to get in the lane. At times, if you got to give up a layup to give up a foul, if you're Jose Alvarado or Moses Wright, Michael DeVoe, Jordan Usher, just do that.
The list goes on and on there, Dalen. Everybody knows about the blue bloods, but in the ACC, we like to talk about the new bloods. And I guess technically Georgia Tech and Florida State are both among the new bloods. But Leonard Hamilton is the one that coined that term and started it all. What do you need to see from Florida State tonight to get the win?
He should trademark that term, by the way, too. They got it on the masks. Let's get Coach Ham more money. I think he took a good discount on his contract because he's a company guy, because he should be getting about $4 or $5 million a year. But he's a good guy, got incentive-laden deal. What Florida State has to do to win this game is they've got to be able to attack the changing defenses. Georgia Tech, as I just mentioned, is good at turning teams over, but they play a lot of zone. They'll play kind of a 1-3-1 and it comes back into a 2-3. They match up out of it at times. They'll run a man. And they can get you to play on your heels. And when you do that, like they did when they played in Atlanta, they were just turning that thing over left and right. 21 turnovers. They couldn't make shots. They didn't have any rhythm. That's what Georgia Tech does. They take your rhythm away, take your flow away, and make you think. And then when you're thinking, you're not making shots, you're not making the right plays offensively. And that's what happened in Atlanta, and they can't have that happen today. They've got to get stops and then get out and maybe try to run, play ahead of the defense. And when they can't do that, pull back, assess what you got, and then play downhill. Be aggressive, attack. Raekwon Gray, Scotty Barnes, ball to create penetration off the bounce and off the pass, and be aggressive in those things. You can't turn it over, obviously.
So Florida State has not won a conference championship since 2012. Georgia Tech since 1993. This game could have some tournament implications. So who do you think deserves or should be more? Who's this game?
Who needs it more?
Who needs this game more?
Who needs it more? I'll tell you who needs it more. Georgia Tech needs it more. Florida State has arrived. We've been saying for years, and those that are on the national networks like myself are always saying Florida State is underrepresented, is not doesn't get the hype they deserve. But they've won. They're the defending ACC champs. They went to a Sweet 16 3 years ago, Elite 8 2 years ago. They could have been a Final Four team last year. They could be this year. They have arrived. Georgia Tech is trying to get back to the days of Kenny Anderson and Dennis Scott, or late 80s, early 90s, and go back to where they once were. And Josh Pastner's trying to take them there. It's his 5th year. They're going to get in the tournament now. If they can win this championship, I don't care if they beat Miami as a 13 seed. I don't care that they have to play in the semifinal. You get to say you're ACC Tournament champions. As you're trying to rebuild your program and take them to heights they haven't been in a long time, you've got to win championships. Last time they've been in a big-time place was 2005, when in the NCAA title game. If they want to get back there, you got to win titles, hang banners, show recruits, especially in that talent-rich area of Atlanta. You can come here. All your dreams can be realized. You can win titles. You can go to the league. We can do it here. But this is a big platform, a big opportunity for them to seize that. That's why it's bigger for them tonight.
Down over there selling it. I love it. Enjoy talking about both of these
Sell like
teams.
Mortimer from Trading Places, which neither of you get that reference probably. I don't know.
We don't, but you don't get the 4 for 4, so it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. 4 for 4. Go to Wendy's right now.
You know what? I don't want to watch the game. I'm going to head up to Wendy's. I'm going to crush a couple 4 for 4s, and I'm going right to the hotel sleeping it.
We love to see it. Love to see it. Thanks so much for joining us, Dalen.
No problem. Later.
And thank you guys for watching Countdown to the ACC Championship presented by SoFi. The game between Georgia Tech and Florida State has been moved to 8:35. So you got 2 minutes. If you're watching on the app, go in and authenticate Kels.
Let's go.
Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Letting me come in.
So
last time I was with you, it was the last show too.
Oh my gosh, yes it was.
I'm just the bell ringer every time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We like to bring you in.
Just in case she screws something up. This last time. Let's get ready.
On a really good note. That's why we bring you in.
That's why you're my friend.
Thanks guys for watching the Countdown to the ACC Championship presented by SoFi. We will see you, I guess, next season.